Hello, and welcome to the Hive Mind podcast, where the collective wisdom of the travel industry helps numerous travelers with the right destinations and the right hotels. I'm your host, Whitney Schindler, founder and CEO of The Hive, a platform designed to give travel advisors organized, actionable insights they can put to work right away. Each week, I sit down for focused, real-world conversations with travel advisors, hoteliers, and supplier partners who know these places inside and out. We break down how each hotel is best suited to a specific client profile, take quick deep dives into destinations, and share pro tips to help you make the most of the Hive. And here's the best part. You don't need to take notes while you listen. Go about your day, tune in, and know that every insight from these conversations is already captured and organized inside the Hive, so it's there when you actually need it. And if you aren't in the Hive yet, you can get resources from this and other episodes when you join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. Today, we have a new episode of The Essentials, a deep dive all about helping you not just understand a destination, but feel it, the energy, the vibe, and the nuance that make it unique. Trusted destination partners share key details that matter most and help paint an overall picture that will inspire you as you present the destination to clients. When you bring a destination to life with confidence and clarity, you build trust, you spark excitement, and you make it that much easier for your clients to say yes. Joining us today to talk about the Itria Valley and the seaside towns in Puglia is Elisa De Pascalis, the sales manager at Southern Visions. This is part one of a very in-depth Puglia conversation Elisa and I had, so please check back in next week for part two when we dive into Lecce, Salento, Matera, and Bari. Let's dive in. Elisa, hello. It's so great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Buongiorno, Whitney. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you from the entire team at Southern Visions. We're very excited. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to talk about Puglia today.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited to dive into literally all things Puglia. So we have broken up our conversation into 5 kind of mini regions, let's say, in Puglia, and we're going to go right through all of them. So this is probably going to be the most comprehensive deep dive into Puglia that anyone's really ever had the opportunity to listen to. Certainly more than those 10 or 15-minute appointments at a trade show, right?
Yes.
But first, before we do that, I would love for you to just tell us a little bit about your connection to Puglia.
Sure. So I'm from Puglia. I'm actually from Lecce. My entire family is from there. And I grew up there, but as almost everyone back in the days, I was really into like living, going abroad, exploring the world. And so that's what I did. When I was 18, I went to study abroad, and actually I really left Italy for a few years. But then at some point, I felt the need to be back and to share the beauty of the region with everyone else. And so I came back in 2017, and since then I started my journey into the travel industry, and basically never left. I mean, today I travel a lot for work and to spread the Puglia words around, which is amazing, and that's the best I could dream of.
Wonderful. So you have been so gracious to kind of break Puglia up into regions for us. So just to give everyone kind of a high level preview of what we're going to dive into today, we're going to start by discussing the Itria Valley, which is kind of the heart of everyone's first visit to Puglia. Then we'll go into the seaside towns, then into Lecce and Salento, then into Matera and the surroundings, and then finally we'll wrap up with a little conversation on Bari and the surroundings around the city of Bari, which has a fun new exciting announcement in terms of airfare from the US as of recently. So this is also the perfect time to talk about it. But let's get started with the Itria Valley. So my first question is a boring question, but can you talk to me about logistics? Because I haven't been to Puglia yet, but this has almost always comes up in conversations with clients when they say they want to go to Puglia. And then we have to really discuss what that means in terms of how they're going to get there. So I know that this new flight into Bari is super, super helpful, but let's ignore that for just a second. How are travelers usually getting to Puglia?
Yeah, perfect. So There's a few ways to get to Puglia. First of all, I mean, Bari is the international hub, and there's we get connecting flights with domestic airports as well as with the international airports, meaning the major hub, Frankfurt, Munich, Istanbul to France, and so usually clients would fly over to Bari with a stop. They could be either in Italy, so Rome, Milan, or
Okay.
in a European hub, a European airport, or they take the chance to fly into Rome or into Naples, actually, and then spend a few nights in the capital in Naples or the Amalfi Coast, and then make their way down to to Puglia.
Okay.
I mean, Rome is always a good choice, so they like to spend even a couple of nights in
Sure.
on the way in or out of of Puglia. And actually, for clients staying in Rome, my best recommendation is to take the train. There's a Frecciarossa, the fast high-speed
Hmm.
train, which is amazing, and 4 hours takes you into Bari and 5 hours into Lecce. So instead of getting out of the city, going to the airport, I mean, it's really much convenient and a time saver, and it's a fantastic experience to come down by train. For
Okay.
clients staying, yeah, that's a really fantastic option instead of flying if you're staying in Rome. For clients deciding to spend a few nights in Naples or the Amalfi Coast, the only option really is a car, like a transfer. And we usually break up the journey in Matera, which is basically geographically not in Puglia, but in the region of Basilicata. But it's usually a must when one comes to Puglia because of the
Yes.
vicinity to
Yeah.
the region. And so Matera is literally 2.5 hours drive from the part of from the Amalfi Coast. And
Okay.
so it's a nice stop on the way for walking tour, visit, lunch, or even for the first night, and then keep on to Puglia.
Okay.
And the entire drive will be 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's a few options actually
Yeah.
besides the direct flight, there's a few options.
It's really helpful just to understand like how we even get there. So let's dive into the Itria Valley a little bit. Can you give me a sense of where in Puglia are we exactly when we talk about this valley?
Sure. We are basically right in the heart of Puglia, and I would say Itria Valley is the most iconic image when one thinks of Puglia. So
Okay.
think of all these beautiful masserias. That means these fortified farms. There were actually forts back in the 15th century used to defend the citizens used to defend themselves from the Turkish Ottomans attacks coming from the sea, and so they built these walled cities that where they were cultivating, they were auto-sustainable, and they were basically defending themselves when the invaders came in. And so
Okay.
these farms are located not directly on the coast because the coast is actually was actually safeguarded by watchtowers still existing today and beautiful points to watch sunsets. And the masserias lean a couple of miles inland, so they had the time to be like to just close themselves off. Today, these buildings have been abandoned for centuries, and at some point they were finally retaken up, and today it's beautiful hotels and properties. And so you can like the clients can really breathe in the history of the ancient history of the region. And yeah, and so that's the Itria Valley got really renowned to the world thanks to those buildings. Also, the trulli houses, the cone-roofed houses, quite unique to the region. And so, when we talk about Itria Valley, we basically talk about the central part of Puglia. That means Alberobello, Locorotondo, This beautiful rounded Loco Rotondo actually means rounded place from the Latin, and it's a beautiful whitewashed village perched on a hill. Then we also have Martina Franca, which is quite less touristy, and it's also it has more Baroque influence.
Okay.
And with the Itria Valley is really like the valley, so it's the inland part of the destination of the area. Also today we would say the coastal, like when we talk about central Puglia, we would also include the coastal side. The coastal towns. There are Monopoli and Polignano. Polignano is, I would say, is the most popular one with its beautiful cliffs, and the little town is also perched on a cliff, so it's really it's very charming. And the Red Bull cliff diving, the international competition has been happening there for the past few years, so it got
Cool.
renown globally. And Monopoly is a fisherman village that was quite disregarded until 15 years ago, I would say,
Okay.
15, even less. But today it's having his best time. It's a very charming village. Actually, it's quite a city. And also I would say it's a solid city for locals. So it's one of those places that it got very popular among travelers over the past few years, especially after the COVID time. But it's one of the most wanted towns where locals would want to live.
Interesting.
Because a lot of industries, a lot of business, like a lot of business happening throughout the year. It's right on the sea. It's strategic location, and so it's a cool
Okay.
city. It's a cool town to be.
So it seems like if this is the valley, we have these towns that are inland in the valley, and then we have the two that are on the coast. Is this already the first decision that clients get to make of, okay, we're going to stay in this region to kind of do all the experiences that are within close proximity? Are they generally trying to decide whether they want to stay inland or on the beach, or do you have more of a strong recommendation just in terms of where they're going to have the best experience?
So that's a very good question, and I would answer the best answer is that depends really on the budget per night. So most of the top 5-star properties that have made Puglia such a requested destination are located in Savelletri, that it's on the coast. And so we have a concentration of beautiful properties down on the coast. I call that area the Magnificent Mile, because literally, like within like a mile, you have tons of at least 7, 8 of the most
Okay.
renowned like hotels in that area. And
Interesting.
so yes, and so that will be actually our first choice. And I mean, it's always the request that we receive. It's always going first point in that area. um
So sorry to interrupt you, but I
uh,
can see that this Savolateri is right on the coast. But from what I understand, a lot of these hotels are not on the beach. They're set back a little bit. Is that right?
exactly, so they are literally like 4 or 5 minutes drive, or
Right.
even by bike, from the actual Savelletri, like from the actual, like, again, fisherman village. And so they are, I would say, a couple of roads from the coast, like inland from the coast. And still all these properties offer a beach club as an amenity, and they would offer complimentary shuttles to their beach clubs,
Okay.
for beautiful beach clubs. So that's still part of the experience, like
Okay.
experience the beach.
So if this is the Magnificent Mile and it is where a lot of the luxury properties are located, if clients were looking for something different, whether it was a budget question or whether it was just more of a style and a general travel preference, are there other um, smaller, more boutique kind of locally owned options that are a little bit more inland or that are in Monopoly or the other areas along the coast? Like, do we have a selection of suitable accommodations to choose if we're not looking to stay in the Magnificent Mile, or is that kind of that's it?
Yeah. No, luckily enough, we have a huge selection of properties inland or in the towns. The only selection that is really not available, and that's more. I would say it's one of the paradox when one thinks of Puglia. It's always thought as a beach destination, and so we often receive a request of beachfront hotels, and that's
Sure.
something literally not available in the destination, because the whole idea was to retake up these beautiful abandoned buildings instead of building uh, new properties like cement properties right on the beach. And so
Right.
it's also part of the protection of the environment. And so there's really only one exception. It's a Canne Bianche Hotel that it's right on the beach, close to Savelletri, and it's a fantastic property. Other than that, there is no beachfront hotel available. So they would all be in the countryside is really where most of the properties are located, or right in the city. However, at least in this part of the region, we would rather recommend a stay in the countryside, and then we usually balance it with a city stay in the city of Lecce and in the city of Matera, just because the area of Central Puglia, offers more options, at least like with the standards that we
Hmm.
work with
Right.
in the countryside.
Okay.
There's a few really great options in the city of Ostuni.
Okay.
There's properties that do really well. Not to mention the latest opening of Vista. It's a leading hotel of the world that opened last July. They are doing really well. It's a great hotel with great standard, and so we are already working um, really well with them. And so Ostuni has a few options of a centrally located hotel for clients who want to have easy access to restaurants and shops. Otherwise, we need to opt for clients should be aware that we would opt for a countryside in this area. Just because, I mean, of course, there's tons of apartments and B&Bs
Sure.
in each and every town, but it's not the level of service that we would go for.
Hey there. If you're in your first year as an advisor, I know how overwhelming it can feel. I remember being caught in the moment with a question on a discovery call and not knowing the answer. It felt like I was constantly scrambling to build enough expertise to sound credible. That's exactly why I built The Hive. It's your expertise vault, a living library where hotel details, destination insights, and advisor takeaways are captured and organized so that you can actually use them. Instead of flipping through old notes or Googling last minute, you'll have the instant access to the knowledge that helps you feel confident and credible with clients. If you're in your first year and feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone. Check out thehive.travel and see what we've built to make it easier. First, I must say that I have been trying to understand Puglia for at least 5 or more years, and I just learned so much from you over the last 10 minutes. It's so helpful. And also, there are still so many options to choose from, like just in the Itria Valley. We're not even talking about the whole region. We're talking
Yeah.
about one stop because, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like it's not really necessary to stay in the countryside and Ostuni and on the Magnificent Mile. It's really like choose one of these and here are the
Yeah.
pros and cons to each, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's already more selection than the average city or region has, just in terms of like not selection of hotels, selections of locations of hotels. It's a lot.
it is a lot, and sometimes it's overwhelming because then client come to us and say, how can we choose the best, what's the best fit for the clients? But I mean, and that's we can guide you through this process because like from a very brief client's profile, we can tell you whether that masseria, that hotel, rather has a younger contemporary style or a more classic formal one. Also, I mean, of course, the budget makes it all, and I have to say, availability is one of the major
Sure.
limits, especially in the summer months.
Sure.
However, I would also like to mention that whatever the location, specific location in that specific area, clients say, all the major attractions and destinations are literally within 25 to 30 minutes drive.
No
So
matter where
where
they stay.
no matter where they stay. So let's say they are staying in Ostuni, Alberobello is 30 minutes,
Okay.
Polignano, Locorotondo, they are all within 30 minutes drive.
Okay.
The same applies if they are staying in Savelletri or inland.
That's
So if
good.
they're staying, yeah,
Yeah, so they can really just focus on choosing the best accommodation and not having to worry about being super far then from what they
distances.
want to do.
Not at all. And I would say this is one of the major key points of the destination, like of the region, speaking broadly, because the distances are very, very short and you don't need to spend a lot of time in the car, like differently from Sicily, for example. So in
Mm.
Puglia, if clients have even 5 to 6 nights, they can just be based out of one location and still explore Matera or Lecce. I mean, of course, we are not going to have the opportunity to go deeper into each and every area, but at least they can cover the main highlights.
Okay. Before I forget, like, I think one of the most important but most foundational questions is more about the season of like the best time to visit Puglia. So is Puglia a year-round region or are there certain like is it more seasonal like other regions in Italy where things do kind of shut down in the
Yeah.
wintertime?
So we would like to reach a point where we say that it's a year-round destination. I mean, it is a year-round destination, but as of now, it's there's a limit given by the properties that stay open
Yeah,
throughout the year. So generally, it's April to November. The season goes from April to November, but I must say that it's getting longer and longer year by year because we can see there's demand, there's request, and so properties slowly are staying open at least until Christmas, New Year's
sure.
time. And I mean, the weather really allows for a stay throughout the year. We never have harsh winters. I would say our coldest would be 5, 10 degrees Celsius.
Celsius. Hmm.
So should be 50, 50 Fahrenheit. We don't really have a proper rainy season. I mean, can be a rainy day, but that's really it. And sometimes December is even warmer than what April is. And so that also means that you actually have a lot of cons coming off season. That
Sure.
is totally you are really experiencing it as a local. There's no crowds. Everything remains open, restaurants, whatever experience we can arrange, wineries, olive oil farms, everything is available. The only really limitation would be the water related activities.
Sure.
But you can actually the outdoor activities are favored during winter because you can enjoy a bike or a hike without the
Extreme
hot
heat.
temperatures. Yeah.
Yeah, because it almost seems like coming in July and August is not a good idea unless you're specifically there for the water activities or the beach. Like, is there a point in which it just starts to get a little too hot for comfort?
July is actually the warmest month, like mid end of June, July is usually the hottest.
Okay.
August, especially after the second decade, tends to be already quite breezier, at least in the evening. We are actually the requests for just trips in July. We are actually seeing a growth over the past years. I mean, it was really like very calm in July, but we have a lot, especially families, of course, traveling in July at the moment. And we indeed always plan their experiences and activities in the evening. So they would usually enjoy like beach time or a boat tour during the day. And then we have them go out like after 5 p.m.
Okay.
And so for whoever comes in July, it's rather like a beach time, family vacation. I wouldn't suggest a cultural tour
Right.
in summer.
Yeah. Okay. So in Itria Valley, can you share with me a little bit more about the activities and the experiences that everyone is coming and that they're so excited for? I would love to kind of start with the most common, like if you're coming to Puglia for the first time and you're staying in this region, like almost everyone does these few
Yeah,
things, and then we can kind of move into the more unique or niche or kind of exclusive experiences that are available.
sure. So if you're coming for the first time, you an absolute must is to experience the town of Alberobello. So that truly everyone really wants to see this very unique architecture, and we usually pair it with the cheese making experience. I one at a local cheese farm with the local cheesemaker. And so, I mean, even if there's some very, like, I would say, bestseller experiences, we still aim at working with locals who do it out of passion, who are not doing it as a business model, but are still taking it all their passion in it with each and every traveler. And so the cheese making is also one of the most wanted experiences, as well as olive oil testing, one of those beautiful olive oil farms. And it's such as, I would say, like a simple experience. But the feedbacks that we receive is always incredible, just because clients come out of these and our activity with such a surprise in learning that they have just not been taught enough about olive oil for the entire life. And so that's some always quite rewarding to hear. Also, you must experience the sea caves of Polignano. So Polignano is the clifftop town perched on the clifftop town that we spoke about. And the unique feature of the town is that it's basically built on sea caves. There's also one very renowned restaurant located in the sea caves, Grotta Palazzese. So this is one of those postcard images that went viral, and so you must find it familiar. But yeah, so we can do a boat tour, actually going inside the caves, and that's very, very special. So these are more or less the most wanted experiences. Then going deeper, we always promote experiences that create an impact and the connection with locals. From the Especially when it comes to artisans. Puglia is very, very rich in local crafts, and there's amazing artisans creating the masterpieces that also are sold, are shipped to the entire world, but the artisans remain very loyal and to the destination, and so they still have humble workshops, or they decided to remain to live in Puglia, and so we facilitate the access and then the connection to those artisans. And so we have tons of artisan workshops with artisans, hands-on experiences that are usually they can be combined with a lunch or a dinner afterward inside the workshop. And I mean, besides the learning part of the experience, the most like the what clients bring back home is the time spent with that person, um, because it's about learning the philosophy, their vision, whatever they do, and so there's always a synergy with them. And then we can also talk about outdoor experiences, especially for Southern Visions. The company was actually founded as a cycling operator back in 2007. And so the Puglia is an amazing destination for biking as well as hiking because it's generally flat. There's a few rolling hills in the central part of the region, and so it can be it's suitable to like every type of traveler. And of course, we can provide e-bikes. So
Is it mostly
e-bikes.
road biking? Like it's biking on the roads, not mountain biking.
Biking on the road, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's really leisure biking. So we have our biking department in-house with a dedicated team, with
Did you say
our,
that Southern Vision started as a biking company?
yeah, yeah, in
Shit.
2007. Yeah.
Okay. And when did the shift to the current version of Southern Visions occur?
I would say it was very natural because initially there were it was group biking tours, and then the clients loved Puglia so much that they started to spread the word and or to come back, and so of
Mm-hmm.
course they started asking for regular like ground services,
Right.
and so it's from I would say 2016, 15, 16,
Okay.
somehow the shift happened. The biking department, though, is still there, and
Wow.
it's a core of the business and one we're very, very proud of. Because
So
Antonello,
I'm
yeah,
sorry to keep interrupting you, but this is shocking information that is like I have so many questions. Um, if so I know about some biking intensive like tour groups that are coming to Puglia, but if clients are not interested to do, 5, 6, 7 days of biking, but they just wanted to do one or two, you have an entire biking division that can manage this?
yeah, of course.
My goodness.
Yes, we have I hope one day you can come and visit it.
Yes, I will come bike for sure.
Yeah. So we have over 200 bikes, e-bikes,
Wow.
road bike, hybrid bikes. We have uh, an entire department
Yeah.
dedicated. We have 5 people in the team, one mechanic that has also worked for Giro d'Italia. So one like a maximum expert on the bikes, on all the entire biking world.
Okay.
We have our van support, like our vans. So
Yeah.
there's all our biking tours are fully supported with vans that are always equipped with energy drinks, water, snacks,
Mhm.
dried fruits. So we do beautiful bike stage before every departure, and yeah, and then there's our biking guide Gaetano, who is fully like 100% Southern Visions. He's a fantastic guy, and he will lead the clients throughout the day. But it's always something that they choose together, but how depending on how the clients feel on that day, if they want to ride more or rather enjoy more the countryside. So it's
Is
really spontaneous.
is there any biking in the region that is suitable for families, either with, you know, kids biking or with small children being pulled on a trailer? Or is this mostly like it's really more kind of teenagers and adults who can really be on a road bike or an e-bike?
It's actually a family, kids-friendly experience that we promote quite a lot.
Wow.
Especially the area of Savelletri, so where all those hotels are located, it's completely flat. And so when there's families, we usually arrange a bike ride around that area of the
Mhm.
hotel, riding through these giant olive trees. There are like pieces of art, and it's really like rejuvenating. And we can combine it with a gelato tasting in Savelletri or with an olive oil tasting at one of the farms located nearby. So cheese making. experience. So it's quite fun for kids. And again, we
Amazing.
also have the trailers or support for children. So yeah.
Wow. I had no idea that I didn't know that this was such a big part of Puglia, but I also didn't know that you had an entire biking division. That's so cool.
Yeah, there are small surprises, and there's another one to come because we also, since 2024, so for the past couple of years, we also have another division called 500 Journeys, and
Okay.
that means that we have a fleet of 25 Fiat 500 cars, the
Cool.
big, the classic
Yeah.
ones. And so they are vintage, so manual transmission, no aircon, so the real slow drive, South Italian drive. We have them in different colors, that are actually the original colors, production colors. And so the clients can pick their color, and they can basically self-drive them, or we provide them with a driver for to make it easier. And we have designed some special routes in the central part of the region, where we basically have the clients experience a slow drive in roads less taken. So
Sure.
you have the experience to again ride in beautiful country roads, and then we combine them with a food treasure hunt, or a food hunt, or photo shooting tour. And it's literally like for a half a day experience, because cars are very delicate. And again, there's a full team dedicated to this division too. So
Wow.
there's different, like Southern Visions has different souls, but the ultimate goal is to have like create like gift emotions, gift feelings. Yeah.
Okay. Other than, I'm just trying to think of areas of experiences that maybe we haven't talked about yet. We talked about the cheese making, but from a culinary perspective, if clients really love, like, I don't know. I don't know what's available. Food tours, cooking
Yeah.
classes. Like if they just
Yeah.
say we want all things food, is there
No,
more in this region? Or
that's the
would
most
we
easiest request that we we can have. And I mean, food is in each and every trip. You cannot leave Puglia without food. I mean, actually, it's very funny because I had an agent that traveled this past week, and she just left today, and she just texted me this morning saying, "Oh, I can't go back after Puglia food, like after this week
Correct.
experience in Puglia, and I gained like a couple of kilos because it's just so tasteful." And so, it's there's tons of options when it comes to food. Puglia is very well renowned for olive oil, as for cheese, burrata especially, as well as for also wine. So we have a huge production of wine that it's finally been globally recognized, because in the past the production, like Puglia was producing wines for other regions. So
Okay.
the grapes were sent to other regions to cut their wines, and yeah, but finally it has its own production, and nowadays you can find Puglia wines mostly everywhere, restaurants in the world. In the area of Lecce, and actually not like just north of Lecce, so between Lecce and the central part of Puglia, that's where the red wine Primitivo and
Okay.
Negramaro are native. So the red wine, that area is amazing. In the central part of Puglia, especially Locorotondo, there's Locorotondo, a white wine
Okay.
too. Also in the northern part of the region. So there's beautiful wineries where we can do beautiful wine tastings with the owners, beautiful dinners in a caveau, or lunch in the vineyard. So for some like hidden gems, that's something that we range to. So yeah, food tours, especially Bari has a huge culture of street food culture. Um, So in the city of Bari, we would promote a street food tour, and that's something that can be done as a day trip from central Puglia
Okay.
to of Bari. It's literally less than an hour drive.
As your business picks up, the overwhelm sets in. You're juggling client calls, proposals, and bookings, and there never seems to be enough time. That's where the Hive comes in. It turns scattered notes and endless research into an organized expertise vault of hotel details, destination insights, and advisor experiences. That means you save hours, move faster, and streamline your workflow, so you can focus on the parts of your business that actually drive growth. Want to see how it works? Head to thehive.travel. So, I think did you share before that there were also a lot of artisans?
Yes.
Or am I, yeah. So I'm curious to know, like, if people are shopping or if they're looking to take things home from Puglia, is it usually food items or are there other types of typical things
Yeah.
that travelers might take home?
Food items apart, ceramic is one of the major souvenir that Puglia can offer. So ceramics is huge in the region, and there's a little town called Grottaglie, quite off the beaten, I would say. So it's between Lecce and the central part of Puglia. That's literally the cradle of ceramics. So the old town, there's a ceramic districts where the major there's you will find 20, 30 ceramic workshops, like real places where ceramics is produced, with ateliers along. And so clients would often go there to experience the ceramic production process, ceramic making process, but also the shopping. And yeah, you can have like plates or beautiful, literally anything is made
Hmm.
in ceramic nowadays, and that's something to be brought home too.
Is there anything that we haven't shared yet specifically about Itria Valley before we move on to seaside towns?
I would say that we can move on. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
there's of course
We're
much more to say,
we
but
are
I think
40
it's
minutes in.
okay.
I think that we've covered a
You're
lot.
kind of,
I just
yeah,
want to make sure that we haven't forgotten anything important. Okay, so let's move on to seaside towns. I know that we mentioned these slightly a little bit earlier, but we haven't really talked about the experiences that are available if clients, especially like the water experiences, I imagine, are a part of things, or if
yeah.
clients are staying in these areas. Can you tell me a little bit about the experiences specifically in the seaside towns and how they're different than the experiences in the
Yeah.
valley?
So the seaside towns are mostly looked upon for the water, like coastal
Mm-hmm.
experiences. So that means major boat experiences, starting from little boats to bigger yachts or catamaran or tall ships. So the navigation would really be between Monopoli and Polignano. Um, say this area offers a large selection of boats and of boats with of yachts with great service. And so for a very like high level boat experience, that's the best area to be at. Clients don't have to think, like sometimes there's a thought that it's very similar to the Amalfi Coast, or the impression is that you can hop on and off on the boat. That's something not available in Puglia, given the geography of the region. So it's rather a leisure boat day
Mm-hmm.
where you board the boat, you spend the day in navigating. Of course, there's stops for swimming, but then you go back to the
Sure.
port. There's actually clients can stop for lunch either in Monopoli or in Polignano, because the port is very close, like it's basically in the city center. So they can have that experience, but it doesn't have the same feeling of what you would have on the Amalfi Coast. And that's I already I would like to add something that applies for Salento Lecce area,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to say that for the best water experience and for the best landscape experience, then I would really suggest a boat down south.
Okay.
On the Adriatic coast that goes from basically Otranto. That's the easternmost point of Italy, and so the first sunrise we say of Italy is in Otranto,
From here in Toronto.
down to the tip of the hill. The landscape down there is just amazing. It's dramatic, dramatic cliffs, more similar to the Amalfi Coast.
Okay.
Although you don't have the option to again stop at any arbor for lunch, but you really have a beautiful um, navigation. Like, it's truly remarkable. But the selection of boats is more limited, and
Okay.
so if the boat matters more than the landscape, let's do it in Polignano. If the
Okay.
landscape and the water is the focus, then we recommend to do it down south.
Understood. That's super helpful to understand. So if we're up here in Polignano, then we're closer to Monopoly. And if the scenery matters more, then this might be like a day trip from Lecce.
Exactly.
Is
That
that where
might
it
be a
comes in?
great Lecce. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay. What else do we need to know about the seaside towns? You mentioned that a lot of the hotels, like that they're not beachfront, and I think that's super important to understand. And that a lot of the hotels that are close but not on the beach, that they have the beach clubs. We have really great boat days. You mentioned the caves before as well.
Yeah. The um, the 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 caves in Polignano, yes. Do you mean the restaurant?
Yeah, you mentioned seeing the caves and then also the restaurant that has become very well known.
Yeah, so I would say what's about the coastal town is really like to be considered rather than as a spontaneous thing that client can also enjoy, spontaneous places that clients can enjoy, like as a sunset stroll, dinner place, and so that's where they would usually go for um, during their leisure time. The cave restaurant. I mean, it's of course unique. Unique scenery, unique ambiance. However, it's quite controversial in terms of the food experience, and so
Sure.
we best all the or touristy places. So it's something that we encourage if that's really like the clients asking for it, and if that really matters. However, if the clients are rather looking for authentic local food experiences, then there's tons of places where we would rather, re- yeah, that we
Yeah,
would
of
rather.
course. So it looks like if you're staying in the valley, then getting to the seaside towns might be only 30 minutes or so.
Yeah,
So as you mentioned,
even
this is something that clients can kind of explore during their free time, go for dinner,
for
go for
sure.
sunset, things
Yeah,
like this.
for sure.
Do you find that a lot of clients have their own cars, or are they generally arranging like a transfer if they want to do something like this for dinner?
Yeah. So the demand for rental cars is actually growing. We have really seen it grow the past year. Um, and that's, I would take it as a broader question when it comes regarding Puglia.
Hmm.
So we recommend to have private drivers when traveling in Puglia, especially during the peak season, the peak months. Not because the infrastructure is tough. Actually, it's really good infrastructure. However, parkings are becoming quite critical also for us
Yeah.
locals. And so especially if clients have booked an experience and they have to meet at a certain time, can be a bit of stress during like when driving themselves during the day. And of course, they also have to be aware about drinking even a glass of wine. The policy in Italy is very, very strict. Um, so we would say to go for private drivers, especially when the budget allows it. However, if the rental car is a good option if the clients are already very like independent travelers, if they are used to drive around Italy. And also another thing to be aware of are the limited traffic areas, because all these little old towns have areas where you cannot drive, but if you don't know them, sometimes you can just incur into fines. And
Yes.
the GPS, like is not always giving you the right
Hmm.
indication. So, just for a stress-free vacation, private driver makes the job. However, like a good combination can be to have private drivers for the day experiences and then have your rental car just to be able to drive around for dinners.
Yep.
Because one thing to mention if you're staying in the countryside is that there's no town a walking distance. So you always need a car. Go for dinner or like to any shop, and taxis is not part of the Puglian culture, not yet. So that's something to be noted too. All the hotels can arrange, the concierge can arrange dinner transfers on a very last minute note.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's not, taxis are not an option.
Okay. That's good to know and good to kind of understand. Um,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to share about the seaside towns before we move on to Lecce and Salento, which is an area I'm sure you have a lot to share?
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Perfect. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Hive Mind podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you know a friend or colleague who would enjoy this, please share it with them. If you would like insights from this episode landing in your inbox each week, join our newsletter at thehive.travel/podcast. And remember, if you'd like to contribute to a future episode, whether it's sharing your destination expertise or your experience touring hotels, just head to thehive.travel/podcast to learn more and express your interest. We'd love to have you join the conversation. Until next time.